Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Flame Emperor episode number 268 based on novel. So let's start. Brother Muji, please enlighten me. The clear voice was like bursts of Sanskrit, and it spread throughout the entire competitive mountain range. This voice seemed to possess some kind of magic power, not only suppressing the energy of heaven and earth in the entire competitive mountain range. It seems that even the originally noisy area outside the venue has become silent in an instant. As Xiaoyang opened his mouth, eyes from outside the arena fixed on the two in the competitive mountain range. With the strength of the 2-star Xiaoyan early stage, I have to say, you are the first opponent that I really agree with. No, maybe it's more suitable for the middle stage of the 2-star Xiaoyan. Under the gazes of countless eyes, Muji slowly raised his head and looked at the thin figure in front of him, but it was Xiaoyang who possessed extremely tyrannical power. In the indifferent pupils, get some fiery. I can also feel that you are very strong. At least until now, you have not used all your strength. But no matter how tyrannical you are, I, Xiaoyang, want this number one. Facing Muji's voice, Xiaoyang smiled, but his smile was filled with a very dangerous aura. I can sense it too, and you didn't use all your strength. But all my power is only used against opponents worthy of a fight. If you want to see my full power, then come up with a power worthy of my face. She said in a hoarse voice. Let's do it. Let me experience, what is the strength of the power of the first powerhouse in Lei Cheng? Xiaoyang said, looking at the fiery pastoral in his pupils. Boom boom boom. Xiaoyang's voice just fell, and suddenly a blue ice attribute aura and a fiery red fire attribute aura erupted from the two of them. Obliterate a weak 2-star fighting immortal strong. After a brief collision, the two figures backed away. Immediately, on Xiaoyang's palm, the ancient ruler of eternal fire flickered with dazzling flames, and together with their figures, they burst out into a light and shadow. The light and shadow was like a fierce thunder, and it came to the pastoral in an instant. On the ancient ruler of the different fire, with a strong hot breath, it drew a beautiful arc in the sky and attacked the pastoral. Humph! Just as Xiaoyang attacked and came to Muji snorted coldly, and then acted instantly. Facing such a tyrannical blow from Xiaoyang, the ice attribute Do Qi in Muji suddenly burst out, and then wrapped around the energy dagger above his palm. The knife in his hand fell, and the energy dagger lifted in an instant, colliding heavily with Xiaoyang's ancient ruler of eternal fire. Crash! The ice-type energy dagger just touched the flames above Xiaoyang's Ihua eternal ancient ruler, and they were at a stalemate. Triple ice power. With a light hum, the ice attribute Do Qi in Muji's body suddenly condensed on the energy dagger, and the palm suddenly exerted force, and suddenly made a harsh sound. 7th layer breaking the sky ruler. Suddenly feeling the force from the energy dagger, Xiaoyang was also shocked, and a terrifying force instantly emerged. Crash! As soon as the two tyrannical forces came into contact, a poignant scene of flames and ice appeared in the mid-air of the competitive mountain range, but the next moment, the two figures were also shaken back by the powerful attack. Flame slash. When the two figures were shaken back by the force, Xiaoyang barely stabilized the figure, and then the fighting energy in his body rushed towards the palm of the hand, the ancient ruler of the fire, without any blessing, and then faced the place where the pastoral song fell. Cut off 1 foot. The huge energy ruler hundreds of feet in size blasted straight from the tip of Xiaoyang's ruler, and then tore apart the space, and suddenly caught up with the figure of the pastoral song. Damn, this guy's grasp of fighting opportunities is really terrifying. Facing Xiaoyang's tyrannical blow, Muji murmured, and then the aura in his body was raised, and 3 blue energy ***** burst out. Go, just barely blocked Xiaoyang's attack. This guy is really tricky, and it seems that this guy is still hiding something. Seeing Muji's quick response, Xiaoyang shook his head and said, the moment he just stepped back, many strong people couldn't react. I didn't expect this madrigal to be so careful. Xiaoyang twirled his palms and sneered, only to see a dazzling fighting chi bursting out from his body. On the surface of the fighting chi, flames rose, and the main space was filled with uneasy fluctuations. The last burst of high temperature emanated, and the space under Xiaoyang's feet was instantly scorched to the point of boiling. Why is this guy's flame different from other people's flames? As the ice attribute, Muji is naturally very sensitive to the fire attribute. Looking at Xiaoyang's powerful flame, he couldn't help but have a hint of doubt in his heart. Ice elegy. In the next moment, Muji's eyes narrowed, and then a roar emerged directly from Muji's mouth. What? It's actually the elegy of ice. This is the famous fighting skill of pastoral song, and it is fully ranked in the realm of the Holy Order. Seeing this, the strong people outside the field couldn't help but become excited. Crash! A burst of azure blue vindictiveness, centered on the pastoral song, slowly overflowed everywhere, and then those azure blue vindictive chi actually condensed into azure blue ice flowers. The azure blue ice flower seemed to be ordinary, but it gave Xiaoyang a dangerous atmosphere from the disciplinary committee. I'm afraid this guy's ice attribute is not an ordinary fighting chi. Even though Xiaoyang was covered in his own fighting chi, he still felt an aura of severe cold, which made Xiaoyang have to take it seriously. Ice elegy, ice flower soul, destroy Xiaoyang. The pastoral song is like a bottomless pit, and ice flowers the size of a slap continue to emerge from his body, filling the entire sky, and the entire sky is also showing some cold feeling at this time. Faced with this situation, Xiaoyang clenched his 5 fingers into fists, and then the dazzling flame breath all over his body instantly condensed on the palm of his hand. It swept out with its arms, like an angry lion burning with fiery red and red flames. Without flinching, it was together with the tyrannical ice elegy of the pastoral song. Bang bang bang! The terrifying fluctuations continued to spread, and Xiaoyang's fiery red angry lion and those countless blue ice flowers had just come into contact. Directly facing the athletics mountain range, the powerful fluctuations in power actually chiseled a huge pit with a size of several hundred meters in the ground of the athletics mountain range. In the huge pit, flames and cold aura slowly filled. How can the ordinary flame fighting chi be so indistinguishable from my ice attribute fighting chi? This guy's flame fighting chi is weird. The next moment, watching the ice flower that had the upper hand withering at a speed visible to the naked eye, the madrigal's his pupils shrank suddenly, and when he looked up, he saw that in the fiery red grudge, every time the flame rose, it would weaken the ice flower formed by his ice elegy a lot. That fiery red flame turned out to be so overbearing. I found out now, it's too late, break it for me. A terrifying shout emerged directly from Xiaoyang's mouth, and then the angry lion, who couldn't stand still with Binghua, suddenly burst out with an incomparably hot breath. The next moment, engulfed the ice flower in an instant, and then roared away to the pastoral song. Muji was shocked, and the ice attribute Do Chi in his body also swept out in an instant without reservation. The vigorous Do Chi was mixed with the icy cold to the sky. Until now, Muji didn't know that he still underestimated Xiaoyang. Bang bang bang! A shocking energy storm slowly emerged from the two sides, and the entire space suddenly became shaken. Muji's tyrannical ice attribute attack was directly burned out by the angry lion, and then Muji was shocked and hurriedly retreated. However, Xiaoyang naturally wouldn't give Muji this chance. He jumped up and stepped directly on the back of the flaming angry lion, and then like a slingshot, he shot towards the place where Muji retreated. Bang bang bang! Hit by Xiaoyang's tyrannical attack, immediately on the chest in front of Muji, a scorching flame ignited instantly. A group of strong people outside the field looked at the pastoral songs that were constantly being calculated by Xiaoyang, and immediately fell silent. No one thought that Xiaoyang, who seemed to be a little-known 2-star fighting immortal mid-stage power, could actually make the pastoral songs. Tossing around in circles requires not only strength, but also a grasp of the timing of the battle. Obviously, this Xiaoyang is far from being as simple as it seems. Okay, Xiaoyang. I underestimated you. Muji was hit by Xiaoyang's tyrannical attack, and immediately his figure was a little embarrassed, then his face was ashen, his eyes were full of resentment, and he stared at Xiaoyang slowly. Speak slowly. Because don't say that others didn't think of it, even he himself didn't think that Xiaoyang's strength was weak, but Muji was ashamed of his grasp of the timing of the battle, and this kind of battle timing can only be tempered when it encounters a real crisis of life and death. This time, Muji seemed to be really irritated by Xiaoyang. The azure blue battle chi on his body just appeared, he immediately extinguished the flame on his chest, and then wiped away a trace of blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes fixed on Xiaoyang. At this moment, the aura on Muji's body was undoubtedly much more tyrannical than before. Next, let's show you my true strength. Pastoral no longer had the underestimated enemy before, and every gesture was filled with an extremely tyrannical pressure. Then, with his body as the center, a azure blue battle chi continued to permeate the entire sky. With Muji's actions, his strength was slowly increasing. Just now, it wasn't that Muji took it lightly. Facing Xiaoyang, Muji has already tried his best to pay attention to it. The disadvantage is that Xiaoyang's fire attribute energy is much more tyrannical than the normal fire attribute cultivator, which makes him overestimate the power of his ice attribute. It was just a mistake, But now that I know the details of Xiaoyang, I will naturally not suffer again. Ice. A cold hum emerged from the mouth of the pastoral, and suddenly the temperature in the entire space suddenly dropped sharply, and even in the space, traces of conspicuous ice threads continued to condense. This guy, such a tyrannical fluctuation of Do Qi. This kind of fluctuation is not like a 2-star Doxian consummation. No, he can't be allowed to attack like this. Xiaoyang said in a deep voice. The huge power of hungry souls made Xiaoyang aware of something else. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiaoyang's body flashed out, and a fiery red Do Qi rose to the sky. Do you feel the fear? Although you are very strong, the difference in strength between us is too obvious. Muji couldn't help sneering, then raised his palm and waved gently towards the direction where Xiaoyang was attacking. Go! In the space, bursts of dazzling ice strands emerged, like 10,000 years of ice, with an astonishing chill, attacking Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang was very fast, raised his head gently, a hint of agility flashed in his dark pupils, and then took a deep breath. The dazzling flame energy condensed on his hands, and whistled towards the bone-chilling ice strands. Go! Fire-red flame Do Qi burst out from Xiaoyang's body like a tide, and the contact between the flame and the ice strands, from a distance, looked like a sea of fiery red and azure blue. Majestic. Boom. The fighting qi of the two exploded in an instant, and a stream of strange energy that contained incomparably hot but also bone-chilling cold continued to radiate out. What's going on? This guy's power. Just after blocking this attack, Xiaoyang's pupils shrank tightly when he saw the pastoral song on the side. The pastoral song at this moment is the same as before, but the breath makes Xiaoyang feel like he is facing a great enemy. Today's pastoral, the strength has actually reached the horror level of a half-step 3-star fighting immortal. I said, I only show my true strength to those who are worthy of my actions. Not long ago, I just broke through the half-step 3-star Doxian level. I originally thought about this method. I will only use it when I compete in the 4 continents. I never thought that you would be forced out. Filled with indifference. Obviously at this time, the pastoral, who was half a step in the strength of the 3-star Doxian, faced Xiaoyang, and the outcome was already obvious. Good guy, actually reached the half-step 3-star Doxian, and he really deserves to be the first powerhouse in our Thunder City. Seeing this, the powerhouse outside the field couldn't help but say with joy. This guy has already come into contact with Sanxing Doxian. It seems that Juemi, you have lost the wrong way. Feng Yu also smiled helplessly at this time. This pastoral song is really a lunatic. I hope Xiaoyang can take care of him and make him more energetic. Although I don't think it's possible. Juemi shook his head helplessly. It's actually a half-step 3-star Doxian, Xiaoyang, you have to hold on. The 3 girls next to her also flashed a trace of worry in their hearts and said Xiaoyang, give it up. Although I'm only a half-step 3-star fighting immortal, defeating you is as easy as pinching an ant to death. If you can force me to use all means, you can be regarded as the 2nd place in this individual competition. Muji said eloquently, as if he had the chance to win and was talking to the loser. I'm not ashamed to say it. A mere half-step 3-star fighting immortal, but I am not qualified to hand over this number 1. Xiaoyang smiled slowly when he heard the words, but in the depths of his pupils, there was a flash of extremely hot flame fluctuations. Xiaoyang knew that it would be quite difficult if he wanted to deal with the half-step 3-star Doxian when he did not use the fighting spirit and holy flame at this time, but it was not impossible. With the help of the battle formation master and the soul power, plus the fire attribute fighting nuclear fighting skills, the 3 blessings, the victory or defeat is at this moment. Xiaoyang made up his mind, and there was no hesitation in the slightest. The body of the Ni Gong Wn Shen, the moving core inscriptions slowly condensed the core inscriptions, and the soul power of the spiritual palace in the body was also mobilized to invite guests, and even the core of the battle in the Do Qi Sea was spinning at a high speed, and tyrannical fluctuations continued to emerge. Are you ready to fight to the death? If that's the case, then I'll do what you want. Ice is coming. Seeing this, Muji didn't say anything more. The dazzling ice attribute energy emerged in the entire competitive mountain range, and the earth-shattering Xeon strike slowly condensed. And until this time, this finals has finally entered the final stage of white hot. The entire competitive mountain range, under the efforts of Muji and Xiaoyang, suddenly trembled, and the energy of heaven and earth that originally existed quietly in the competitive mountain range suddenly trembled, and the entire mountain range seemed to be turned into a huge steamer. And the terrifying power that Xiaoyang exudes from the 2 of them is these smoky breath. There are 2 auras, one red and one blue, like 2 rounds of scorching sun, hanging high in the sky of the competitive mountain range. The countless energy of heaven and earth in the entire mountain range is violently violent. Such a strange vision makes the strong people outside the field unable to bear it. I was shocked. These two guys really dare to mess around. Watching the increasingly fierce battle in the competitive mountain range, Duan Tianfeng also said helplessly, but he mentioned the spirit of 12 points in private, because no matter what, whether it was Xiaoyang or Muji, they were both top geniuses on the eastern continent, and it was absolutely impossible for the two to be fatally injured in the battle. At this time, the entire arena became quiet, because everyone knew that this blow would determine the final champion. This guy seems to be preparing a rather tyrannical attack. Looking at this fluctuation, even I feel a little uneasy. Feng Yu looked at the madrigal, who was invisible in the blue aura, and shook his head. Obviously, at this moment, no matter how tyrannical Xiaoyang is, it can't change the failure situation. That's not necessarily. Since Xiaoyang can successfully escape from Sanmu Gui Tong, he naturally has his support. For some reason, Liu Qing had an inexplicable confidence in Xiaoyang. Then let's wait and see. Everyone nodded, and then their eyes locked on the competitive mountain range. At this time, a deafening sound continued to resound from the inside of the competitive mountain range, and below the entire space, the forest collapsed suddenly, and some rocks shattered instantly. Even on the smooth ground, the abyss cracks of dozens of meters in size are extremely conspicuous. Purgatory array. Come out for me. A low voice emerged from Xiaoyang's mouth, and then this space that had become fragmented, a blazing hot flame suddenly wrapped Xiaoyang and the two figures in an instant. How could it be possible, this fluctuation? You are a battle formation master. And the pastoral song, who was already bathed in the blue ice attribute Do Qi and was about to strike a fatal blow, was suddenly shocked when he saw Xiaoyang's method. Shout. Because the pastoral song knows that the formation technique that the battle formation master uses and the formation technique that uses the formation scroll are two different things. The former has something called core inscriptions. The more these things are, the more powerful they are. Boom. The two of them were instantly wrapped in a red formation, and then a fiery red dragon with a figure of hundreds of feet condensed out of the formation, and then surrounded Xiaoyang. This wave of fluctuations, so that Madrigal had to pay attention to it. So you still have some reservations about the formation you used before. I'm afraid this is the full power of your formation master. 29,000 path. Are strong enough to bind the 2-star Dozian to perfection. But you forgot, I am a half-step 3-star Dozian. Ha ha ha. A wild laughter slowly filled the space. Because you are a half-step 3-star Dozian, I have prepared such a great gift for you. Xiaoyang's mouth curled into a frantic arc, and then stared at the pastoral song. Obviously, to deal with the pastoral song, relying on the strength of the Dojing master, he could also far from enough. Since you have prepared such a great gift for me, then of course I want to give you one back. Remnant Ice Dragon Shadow. A roar emerged from Muji's mouth, and the fire attribute energy in the entire purgatory formation suddenly trembled, and even the temperature dropped suddenly. The pastoral voice just fell, and a lifelike blue dragon suddenly appeared beside him. On the blue ice dragon, a proud and domineering arrogance emerged, and the body exuded a devastating Xeon. The breath locked Xiaoyang. This kind of fighting skill is the top of the holy order. The name of Lei Cheng No. 1 is indeed well deserved. Seeing this, Xiaoyang smiled slightly, but there was no fear in his heart. Some were just extremely hot. Xiaoyang, let me ask you one more question. Do you admit defeat? The pastoral attack was brewing, and then, like the overlord of the world, he slowly questioned Xiaoyang. If you can take my blow, the first place will be handed over to you. Xiaoyang snorted coldly, and then the energy in his body was instantly mobilized, obviously preparing for the final duel. Since that's the case, then let's fall here completely. Muji slowly shook his head, his voice full of pity. Remnant Ice Dragon Shadow. Destroy. With a furious roar, the huge blue dragon of hundreds of meters in size surrounding the pastoral roar suddenly shook the entire space, and then in the purgatory array, it moved rapidly, and its moving void unexpectedly burst open with a puff, enough to see the aura on this giant dragon, enough to destroy everything, and roared away at Xiaoyang in an instant. What a strong coercion. Purgatory array. Give me a bundle. Xiaoyang snorted coldly, and in the entire flame formation, countless energies instantly turned into flaming dragons, and then attacked the blue dragon one after another, but at the same time, Xiaoyang's fingertips, the terrifying fluctuations that condensed Xiaoyang's huge fighting spirit, also slowly appeared. Bang bang bang. The power of the flaming dragon, when it came into contact with the blue ice dragon less than 10 meters away, was the sudden temperature of the flame on his body, and was finally obliterated by the ice dragon at will. If you want to deal with this guy, you must have 31,000 core inscriptions. Now, you can't rely on the formation technique alone. Yu Ming Tian Trance. The next moment, in Xiaoyang's soul realm, the power of the soul emerged like a tide, and then formed a series of strange tweets in the formation. This time, you will lose. Although he didn't expect Xiaoyang's soul attack, Muji directly ignored the fact that he was seriously injured by Xiaoyang's sudden soul power, but in the end he poured all the fighting qi in his body into the ice dragon, and the ice dragon suddenly easily breaking open Xiaoyang's soul attack, he immediately attacked the body. Such a tyrannical attack from this pastoral song, if it hits, I am afraid that it will be seriously injured if not dead. The sky calls the sky and the earth. Finally, Xiaoyang pointed at the ice dragon with a dazzling finger, and the mountains and rivers shook, but such a tyrannical attack only slowed down the ice dragon. 2 fingers in the sky break through the sky. With a loud shout, a dazzling silver beam suddenly pointed towards the ice dragon. Boom boom boom. Bright fluctuations erupted between the two, and they seemed to be evenly matched, but the next moment was cracked by ice dragon. The 3rd finger, breaking mountains and rivers. After exhausting all the fighting qi in his body, he pointed slowly, and finally clicked when the ice dragon was about to attack Xiaoyang. And it was also at this moment that there was a sound of cracking in the entire formation. From a distance, it looked like a broken mirror. Pastoral, it's over. Break it for me. Xiaoyang's breath was sluggish, his eyes were extremely cold and his fingers were heavy. Suddenly, cracks appeared in the sky behind Xiaoyang accompanied by a shocking explosion. Zhong's giant golden finger pierced through the space and broke through the clouds, blasting the ice dragon in front of him with an extremely terrifying force. Until this moment, the expression on the pastoral song changed slightly. This level of attack is already at the same level as his attack. Boom. The golden giant finger swept past the ice dragon, and the overlord-like ice dragon suddenly collapsed without resisting for a few seconds, and pieces of ice the size of fists quietly fell from the sky. Xiaoyang. You won. Seeing this scene, the madrigal in the distance suddenly spewed out a mouthful of blood, and finally uttered a tone of voice, and then instantly fell to the bottom. San, it's too late. The 3rd master. Xiaoyang just saw that the bright golden fingers still did not dissipate, and attacked the pastoral song, and immediately used the last bit of strength, shouting to Du and Tianfeng, if this kind of attack hit the pastoral song, I am afraid it will fall instantly. However, Xiaoyang opened his mouth, and Du and Tianfeng immediately moved. He didn't have enough temperament. He did not expect that Xiaoyang's 3rd finger in the sky would actually cause a lot of load on him. Stage fighting skills. Ended. You are the champion. Rest in peace. Xiaoyang only felt that his eyelids suddenly became heavy, a wave of exhaustion hit him, and he closed his eyes immediately. As for the outside of the arena, it took a long time for the two of them to recover after seeing the two who were seriously injured in a coma. Xiaoyang is the champion. The sound of loose bones slowly resounded from the bed. In the finals, Xiaoyang had been in a coma for 5 days before he regained consciousness. Xiaoyang had been in a coma for the past few days, but Yu Ranran and Liu Qing had been busy. Going away, for fear of not taking good care of Xiaoyang, this kind of action is enough to cause the jealousy of many strong people, but they can only stare blankly. After all, Xiaoyang is not something they can provoke. As for the pastoral song, she was in a coma for 10 days. Although he won the championship, Xiaoyang still had some pressure on the strength of the pastoral song. After all, this guy is a half-step 3-star Dozian, and his fighting skills and ice attribute fighting spirit are also quite good. The 3rd finger out of the sky, I am afraid that this champion is really handed over. However, the 4 fingers of the sky can be used to the extreme. After all, it is an existence that can be compared with god-level fighting skills. The mere Hola-level fighting skills are naturally not worth mentioning. The ice attribute in this pastoral body seems to be different from that of a normal practitioner. Xiaoyang sat on the bed and opened his mouth slightly, constantly recalling the battle between the two in his mind. When the two were fighting in the competitive mountain range, Xiaoyang discovered that the ice attribute on Muji was vaguely suppressing him. That's natural. In the pastoral body, there should be ice seeds. The Lord of Soul Eater also spoke slowly. Ice seed. Xiaoyang suddenly asked in confusion when he heard the words, but out of intuition, this ice seed is definitely not simple. The so-called ice seed is a wonder of heaven and earth that enhances one's own attributes and fighting spirit in disguise. Everything in the world has its own attributes, and in each attribute, there are some corresponding heavenly species. Ice seed, thunder seed, etc. The heavenly species are classified according to their attributes, but they are basically divided into two categories, large and small heavenly species. A normal person's ice attribute fighting chi energy is equal to 1. Those with a small heavenly seed are twice their basic strength, and those with a large heavenly seed are 3 times that. The Soul Eater explained. It turned out to be this kind of thing. No wonder the ice-type grudge on this pastoral body can make me feel a lot of tyrannical pressure when I don't use the holy flame, and it can even catalyze my flame. Xiaoyang was relieved. Dao, I think Muji should have an ice attribute heavenly seed. With this thing, Muji's ice attribute Do Qi appeared so tyrannical. If there is no accident, Muji should have a small heavenly seed on his body, so it can be like this. The Soul Eater said with a smile. Master, can my holy flame be considered a great seed? Xiaoyang asked. Cut, holy flame is much more tyrannical than the great heavenly seed. Ordinary great celestial seeds can enhance the power of their attributes 3 times, but holy flame is enough to enhance more than 5 times. And don't forget, there is no celestial seed that can be compared with the holy flame. After all, the holy flame is the nemesis of the foreign evil race, and it is also well known in the whole world. The power of the little heavenly seed is far less than that of the holy flame. But whether it's a big or small heavenly seed or a holy flame, they are extremely precious and hard to find. The Soul Eater said disdainfully. Xiaoyang heard the words, and his head was immediately covered with black lines. By the way, Master, I have holy flames on me. I don't know if I can get the blessing of the fire element heavenly seed. In that case, my fire element will become even more terrifying. Xiaoyang also asked fiery. This, the blessing of the heavenly seed and the holy flame, I have never heard of this, but if you have a chance, you can try it. The Soul Eater said. You have to be careful about the evil power in the forged sword Thunder Valley Master. After all, this guy should have the existence of the heavenly seed. Having the heavenly seed can also be eroded by the alien evil race, which is enough to show the tyranny of the alien evil race. At the end of the sentence, the Lord of Soul Eater did not forget to exhort him. Yep. Let's go to the auction house to prepare something. After all, according to his intention, it seems that when he awards me, he will exorcise the power of evil for him in the treasure pavilion in Thunder Valley of Forging Swords, that level of extraterritorial evil. The power of the clan, but it is not sloppy. Xiaoyang nodded slowly, then directly pushed the door and walked in, facing the auction house, preparing some medicinal materials needed to exorcise the power of evil. Hey, I didn't expect that Xiaoyang to win the first stage championship. This is really beyond everyone's expectations. In the inner courtyard of the Alchemist Association, the two figures slowly chatted. This guy is really perverted. He can actually beat the half-step 3-star Dozian's pastoral with his strength in the middle stage of the 2-star Dozian. Hua Fei also said helplessly. Obviously, Xiaoyang's strength and talent surpass everyone else's. Unexpectedly, this guy can be regarded as the biggest dark horse that emerged from the East Continent ratio this time. Hua Fei, can you be sure about this second stage? The next moment, Tan Chen spoke slowly, his voice full of seriousness. Master, although the second stage is a soul test, Xiaoyang's soul power is too strong, and the first stage test is enough to prove that this Xiaoyang is not a fuel-efficient lamp, so the disciple can only guarantee the top 3, as for the first words. Hua Fei bit his lips lightly and said weakly, even if he was as proud as him, in front of this guy Xiaoyang, he would be ashamed of himself. The top 3 are the top 3. This time, compared to Dongju, it can also rub the pride of you, the proud sons of the world. It is also a kind of training. When the ratio of Dongju is over, the ratio of 4 continents will be a better stage for you. Tan Chen also laughed. Inside the Thunder Valley of Forged Knives. GU Master, the first championship, as you said, was won by Xiaoyang. In the secret room, Duan Tianfeng whispered next to Duan Tianhong and said, "This guy seems to have some terrifying things yet to be displayed. And to be able to defeat the half-step 3-star Dozian's pastoral without using the Holy Flame, this guy's fire attribute fighting spirit may have been tempered by the Holy Flame. The strong. If Holy Flames are used, even a great heaven like me would be difficult to deal with." Duan Tianhong said with a smile. "Forget it, let him rest for a few days, distribute the rewards of the first stage, and start the second stage of the competition." Duan Tianhong also disappeared here after he finished speaking. He knows that the next thing is to contact the evil tribe for himself, so he must do everything possible to seal the power of this guy. The power of the king of the alien tribe is too tyrannical and can easily cause some indelible damage to Xiaoyang. Of scars. At this time, Xiaoyang's illustrious name was spread in the entire Thunder world, and Xiaoyang also became a man of influence for a while. This time it was really a misstep. Forcibly advancing to the half-step 3-star fighting immortal, the foundation of my body was shaken, and even the little heavenly seed could not be used in the competition. The only way to stabilize the source. This is why I lost to Xiaoyang. If I come here again, with the blessing of Xiaotian seed's power, I will definitely not lose to him again. Muji woke up from a coma for 10 days, and he was deeply regretful, but no matter how much he regretted it, it would not change the established facts. As Xiaoyang's reputation spread in the Thunder world, it also proved that this first stage of the competition finally ended. After the time passed, it was another 5 days. After Xiaoyang and Muji had rested, news of the first stage rewards was also announced inside the Thunder Valley. The news of this news has undoubtedly made many contestants jealous. After all, the top 3 strong players in the first stage can all enter the treasure pavilion inside the Thunder Valley. It is said that the treasure pavilion in the Thunder Valley of Forging Swords is a place where countless treasures of heaven and earth gather on the entire eastern continent, attracting countless strong people to yearn for it. Xiaoyang, are you there? A crisp knock on the door slowly sounded, and then several figures appeared outside the door. Duan Chifei? Xiaoyang got off the bed and walked towards the door in a bit of depressive mood, but just opened the door, he exclaimed. This time I will take you to the treasure pavilion. The Valley Master has been waiting for a long time. The door was gently pushed open, and the second madrigal, the third Juemi and Du Chifei stood slowly. It's just that the pastoral look at himself is extremely cold at this time. Let's go. Xiaoyang shook his head helplessly, then followed up without hesitation. The next step is to enter the space. Everyone, please be safe. Du Chifei and the others came to a rather remote place, and then on Duo Chifei's jade hand, a rather exquisite scroll slowly emerged. Among them, it is full of strong space power. A directional space scroll. Juemi was well informed, so naturally he discovered this thing in Duo Chifei's hands. There are also many categories of space scrolls. Among them, the directional space scroll is a kind of recording a certain position and then using the scroll to collude with the space channel. Crash. The space scroll was gently taken out, and suddenly twisted in Duan Chifei's palm. After a while, it turned into a squirming space crack and appeared in front of everyone. Let's go. Du Chifei said to the 3, and then looked at them slightly. Let's go. The 3 of them were not procrastinators either. They looked at each other and stepped into it suddenly. After a few breaths, the 4 of them left the space passage and came to a new place. This is. Just when they came here, they only felt that the energy of the surrounding heaven and earth was more than several times denser than that in the Thunder world just now, and even a trace of shocking thunder sounded continuously in the sky. What caught the pupils was the azure stones under their feet that contained the power of violent thunder. The azure stones formed a huge circular square. In the center of the square, a huge building towering into the clouds slowly appeared. Welcome the 3 of you to our Thunder Valley of Forging Knives. This is the treasure pavilion inside the Thunder Valley of Forged Knives, and it is also the distribution point for this reward. The next moment, next to the huge building, Duo Tianhong's figure, like a silver giant, stood in front of several people. Forging Valley Master? Seeing Wei Rant's figure in front of him, Muji and Juemi couldn't help being shocked and said. Unexpectedly, the person who distributed the rewards for them was actually the Forge Master who saw the dragon but not the tail. This is the true overlord of the entire eastern continent. Dad, I'll go first. After successfully bringing Xiaoyang and the 3 of them, Du Chifei was also very sensible and didn't stop, made a face at the Valley Master, and then prepared to leave. Let's go together. This treasure pavilion is your own thing. Besides, you also need something that suits you, so just take advantage of this time to enter together. The Valley Master smiled slowly, and said dotingly. The 3 of Xiaoyang heard the words and couldn't help but have black lines all over their heads. With a wave of his hand, in Du Guanhong's hands, 3 exquisite appetizing rings appeared in an instant, and then flew towards Xiaoyang and the 3 of them. This is your respective reward. Just as Na Jie poured into the hands of the 3, Du Tianhong immediately said. Thunder God Scroll? Xiaoyang's heart trembled when he heard the words, and then the soul force slowly invaded into the ring, and found that at this time, in the space of about several hundred square meters, countless silver thunders gathered, and the center of the thunder, a rather small silver scroll slowly appeared, and above the scroll contained a tyrannical aura that destroyed the world. The Thor scroll is different from others. It must be placed with something specially set up by our forging knife Thunder Valley. Don't destroy it at will, otherwise the Thor scroll will also be damaged instantly. When you need to use the Thor scroll, you only need to input your soul power or vindictive energy into the ring, and the full power of the Thor scroll will explode in an instant. Du Tianhong explained to Xiaoyang. Sure enough, it's the Thor scroll. Xiaoyang was afraid that Duo Tianhong would use fakes to deceive himself, so he hurriedly checked it, and after confirming it was correct, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. With this thing, I will undoubtedly have a life-saving talisman on my body. I will also have the power to protect myself when I encounter a 4-star Dozian powerhouse in the future. Although this is similar to a one-off on a scroll, it is enough. Are there any questions? Duan Tianhong asked after watching the three inspect the ring inside and out. Thank you, Lord Jiyu. The three of them responded with a smile. Since the rewards for the disciple stage have been distributed, there is one more thing. Originally, the reward for the first stage did not enter the treasure pavilion, but since the three of you are all talented people from Eastern Continent, for the sake of the 4 continents competition, this time I will let you enter it. The treasure pavilion is full of martial arts and medicine pill scrolls. What other treasures can you get from the treasure pavilion? It all depends on your fortune. Don't remember, in the treasure pavilion, the more precious the treasure, the more tyrannical the seal is. If you can't break the seal, you must not take it by force. Duan Tianhong said. Okay. Xiaoyang nodded in succession. Xiaoyang may not know the whole of this treasure pavilion, but Muji and Ju Mi have their eyes wide open at this time. Only they know the value of this treasure pavilion. Things, then cultivation naturally goes 1,000 miles in a day. In this treasure pavilion, something seems to be calling me. At this time, Du Chifei's beautiful purpose was to stare at this towering building and fell into contemplation, but between the eyebrows, there are traces of mysterious runes that are quite obscure, looming, and these lines are exactly the same as the reincarnation lines on Xiao Yi's forehead. Now that you're ready, let's enter. Remember, you only have 1 month. If you don't leave the treasure pavilion for a month, you will be forcibly sent out by it. Duan Tianhong's voice sounded like a bell. I don't know if I can get something useful for me in this treasure pavilion. Xiaoyang was also looking forward to it, but he didn't notice any changes in Du Chifei. This girl seems to resonate with something in the treasure pavilion. The Soul Eater also muttered to himself at this time. This video will end here.